All right. Wait a couple seconds here. We'll get some people in on the stream. Figured I had a lot of questions from people. Hey, Duck, what's going on? Figured I got a lot of questions on the recent video here with the Steam Deck, and I can't answer everything to everybody, so figure why not go ahead and get started here and see what everyone has, do some comparisons, some of the things I didn't talk about in the video as well, and just see what anybody wants to see. So I know one of the things a lot of people asked is, where did this come from? So this is on the video, is in the description where I got the 3D model from. I didn't make the 3D model. I can't take credit for that. The guy that did also says in his description that there are some problems with it. And some people have noticed also inside the fact that the vents are on the wrong side. These vents should be over here, but I mean, these are little things, nothing too major, because it really doesn't affect the feel, which is what I was really going for, was the feel for the device. So it is a rough print. My brother-in-law printed up for me. He's kind of wishes he would have done a better job, but it serves the point of what it was supposed to do. And you definitely can tell from some of the things that jump out, regardless of how high the quality of a print was, the fact that this button is so much closer to where your thumb is. That's irrespective of the print quality. But there's some other people that have, I think they just have just this portion of the 3D print available for printing, which is going to give you the exact same thing, except, yeah, it does look similar, except for the fact that you can't get that feel of how big it is in your hands. But the comparisons that I did drew up a lot of questions about these other devices too, which I'm working on right now. But get this out of the way here. The 1X player and the Aya Neo, to me, these are the big three right now. Now, a lot of people, get that so all those are in there. A lot of people will say, what about the GPD Win 3? The GPD Win 3 has similar specs to the 1X player. They both are running the Intel i7 with the XE or XG graphics. I can't remember which one it's called. And the Aya Neo, though, is the one that is different from basically everything with the AMD, with the Ryzen 5. So Ryzen 5, I think, is the way to go. AMD, from some of my testing, games just play better on the Ryzen than they do on the Intel. And I mean, that's kind of everywhere in gaming right now. Everybody knows that. If you want good graphics, you're going to go with a AMD versus an Intel. So this one has a separate graphics, where this is the integrated APU. And those things look at all those fingerprints on there. I'm going to get that off of there. Some testing that I've done, and I'm looking forward to seeing what everybody thinks as far as what games they'd like to see tested on these two, because this is going to give us an idea, while not the same as the Steam Deck, it's going to give us an idea of what you can play. Recently, I've been testing Microsoft Flight Simulator, which is a definite demanding game for any handheld device, even computers that have lower end graphics cards. But I can tell you right out of the gate, the Aya Neo works far better than the One X player. And that's, of course, on low settings, and a lot of the extra stuff turned off. I mean, it's just what you have to do. So the One X player actually puts up a warning when you start Microsoft Flight Simulator that it doesn't meet the requirements. The Aya Neo does not. Not sure what that is or what the reasoning is for that, but who knows. So right now, if you had to buy something and didn't want to wait, and I realize these two are not in the same price category as the Steam Deck, but for me, the Aya Neo is where I would go. Just because this is a pretty large device. It's pretty heavy too. It's way heavier than the Steam Deck or the Aya Neo. Also, ergonomics wise, this thumbstick, look at the difference that's between the thumbstick and the shoulder button, how big of a reach that is. That's pretty substantial. Yeah, Q1 2022. I think everybody got that Q1 2022. I think it's sitting right now at Q2 2022 for all the devices. Price points. These two originally came out on Indiegogo. Actually, this one was Indiegogo and this one was Kickstarter, I believe. But the Aya started at $6.99, which would have put it right against the Steam Deck on the highest end. I believe you can only get these now for about $1,000, and it's the maxed out one with a 1 terabyte drive. So, that's good for what you're getting, but is not really in the price point of this. This one has 3 models, and I think their top model is $1,300 or $1,400, which puts it in a whole other category. But that price point is the same as the Win 3, and for between the two of them, I would get this one over the Win 3. This one has a better screen than the Neo, but once again, it's all about gameplay, right? The gameplay on the Neo is much better. And I'm working, like I said, I'm working on a couple videos doing these, showing things that we would be doing on the Steam Deck. And Steam has pointed out that the Aya Neo and the One X player will be able to get the same Steam OS that's going to be on the Steam Deck. They're going to release it, so you'll be able to get it for any handheld or any computer. But right now, that isn't an option. But you can use Big Picture. And I put Big Picture, played with it on both of these, and honestly, Big Picture looks so outdated compared to what the new Steam front end looks like on the Steam Deck. So it's kind of a little disappointing on that one. But these are really nice devices. This one has. The One X player definitely has a higher build quality than the Neo. It is fingerprint sensor. You got this nice kickstand. It just feels really substantial. It does have a slight bit of grip here on the back, which the other one doesn't. Let me put this down here. The Aya Neo, I have actually these additional grips on here. Sorry, I'm covering up my Windows number, but This is definitely not as high of a quality build. However, they have announced that they're going to be sending out higher quality replacement parts for it. They're going to fix some of the issues with the buttons, some of the issues with the printing on these buttons. This color is not exactly right, so they're going to send out new ones of those. I believe it's going to have a new fan. It's just going to be internally everything you can replace. Now, they do offer a service as well, but for anyone who wants to do it, they claim it's easy and shouldn't be too hard for anyone with even a small amount of skill. And right now, doesn't have analog triggers. It only has regular buttons, and they're kind of not great, as you can see. But that's getting replaced, so that's going to be a nice change. So previously, what I was asked was a couple comparisons that people wanted, so I wanted to go ahead and do those as well. The one comparison that everybody wanted was the PS Vita and PSP. So I had to go up and get it. So there's the PS Vita next to it, and it's definitely giving you an idea of how much larger that is. But once again, if you like a landscape feel, this is, I still stick with the fact that I think that's a good landscape feel. As far as gameplay, I think right now, I think ETA Prime was doing some SD card play off of the 1X player. I think I just saw that right before I went live that he had posted that. And from what I saw from him and Mad Little Pixel, that, hey, Mikey Q Plays, what's up? He said that it's not going to be a problem. And I think, with the speeds we've gotten to with SD cards, that isn't going to be a problem. I think the problem is you get some of the games that are more demanding on the amount they could load. Each program, if it's a high amount, it's going to take a lot to load off the SD card, but we'll see. And we're also comparing an SD card reader against one we're not sure of, but from those two reviewers, and if you don't follow them, you should follow them. But it's a promising thing if you get the cheaper one. So, what do you mean? What's the ballpark for the Steam, or what's the ballpark for the Steam dock on that duck? But yeah, so looking forward to that. I somehow, and I don't know how I did, I got lucky. I haven't been lucky on any kind of pre-order, but I managed to get mine in and get the December time frame, which, who knows? I've seen very few people who got it. Somehow I got lucky. I swear I can't get a PS5 ever. Tried a million times, but managed to get this one, so I was kind of happy about that. But so what I'm looking for is what games people want to play on the Neo and the 1X player. Because like I said, if you want one now, the Neo, you can go buy it now. Not sure when it's going to get shipped, because I think they said that the black ones, I know they were redoing, and I think they just started shipping those out. But if you wanted the white one, I believe you could get it now. So TK421303, what's up? So the prototype, if you go to my video that I did previously, there's a guy who did the model for the 3D, and it's on Thingiverse, and there's a link in the description of that video to the 3D print. And he says, that there's problems with it. It's not perfect, but when you look at it, it's pretty close to what it's going to feel like. You know, once again, this is in the wrong spot. That's not really a big deal. That's aesthetic, but it is something that's incorrect on there. When you get to the buttons and the thumbsticks and the shoulder buttons, those are more things that are definitely standard. And I had said in the video too, these thumb pads, if you have your hands all the way up, are going to get pretty uncomfortable on there. How much does it weigh? I tell you what, I will have to get my scale. It's definitely way off from what it's supposed to be, that's for sure. I have a scale. I'll get that, and then I'll give you an idea of how much that weighs, so how far off it is. But I know weight-wise it's supposed to be really close. I think this one is 850 and this is 869, something in those. They're not 650 and 669, I think is what it is. So the difference. So these are going to be comparatively, the actual Steam Deck and the Neo is going to be about the same weight. And I can tell you from the Neo, you have to have grips. I mean, you don't, but for any kind of gameplay, you really need the grips on here, or it gets kind of too heavy to feel. But yeah, I'll get the weight on this. This feels considerably lighter. But let me see. Let me get my scale real quick. Okay, sorry about that. Let me got my scale coming. All right, and I'm back. Third desk day SH. Hello. All right, getting back to it. Yeah, I'll get that weight here. Start working out before it releases. It's not that heavy. I'm telling you, if it's similar to this, it's not that bad. So, all right, let's see. Thank you to my assistant. All right, so grams wise, here I'll give you the Neo right out of the gate here. Let's see. If you can see that, probably not. So that's at 657 for the Neo, and then the 339 for the 3D print. So it's about half the weight of the real product. So yeah, the talking about the other OEMs, there was an article, can't remember who it was from, that was saying that right now it's only Valve that's making them, but that they're going to let other companies, I'm presuming Alienware is going to make one, and this may be why Project UFO got canned, is because they knew this was coming out and they were just going to work off of this model. So I wouldn't be surprised if Alienware doesn't make one. They made the Steam machines for Valve, not for Valve, but off of Valve. So I wouldn't be surprised if Dell and Alienware don't make these themselves off of this. I can't think of the word I'm looking for, but you know what I'm saying. I think Dell is probably gonna make one. So I wouldn't be surprised if we don't see those come out. So the back buttons. Oh well, let me tell you about, did the handhelds get hot? These, I can tell you, this one only has this one thing, and it kicks off probably 3 times the heat you get off of a Nintendo Switch. The 1X player is even worse because you've got both the graphics chip, I think, and the CPU just kicking off all sorts of heat. So this thing is hot. It's not hot anywhere you're touching it, but it's definitely hot out of the exhaust vents. So if you're in a closet or a small area, it's going to be pretty heavy. So third day, talking about the back buttons. So my only thing from holding this is I'm thinking, you're in order to get that grip, look where you're holding it. You're holding it right on those buttons. So I don't know if you're holding it really tight, you're going to be hitting these buttons. But if you kind of hold it with like your fingers on the back here, it's not going to be, I don't think it's going to be that bad, but it's just going to be a feel thing. Yeah. Hello, Martin Novak. Yeah, I think this may be more for them a proof of concept to get it going, to get the other companies, mainly Alienware. I see Alienware as the big person that's going to make these because they're already known as that gaming market. Asus maybe another one, but who knows. And TK421 again. Yeah, the deck is definitely, it's definitely something that's going to help Microsoft for sure. This definitely gets them into the gaming market. Epic Game Store is going to allow them to circumvent having to worry about things like Apple charging that 30%. So this is really going to help them for sure. Anybody who has their own store. Yeah, I'll post this stream to the channel for sure, and let you see what else is on there, Daniel. And hello. And I just want to tell everybody, thanks so much for all the nice comments everyone's made, and I'm so excited that everybody got happy to see this video. I don't know if anyone follows me on Instagram, but I've been on there for years, kind of grinding away, and I'm making the move over to YouTube. I've got a whole lot of ideas for videos, Steam Deck related, INEO and 1X player related, as far as how they play, things like that, and also some videos for some retro gaming, modding, things like that. So definitely, if you're not subscribed, please subscribe, and look forward to talking with everybody and doing some streaming as well. Third day, yeah, for sure. Definitely Windows. If you put it on there, Windows 11 looks like it is just primed for this device without question. Yeah, so Daniel, I'd say that the NVIDIA Shield, that is a handheld I do not have. But that device, that's basically the same thing. It would be interesting to see if NVIDIA is coming up with anything to compete with this. I know there's a lot of talk of Qualcomm coming out with a device. There's been quite a lot of rumors about it, but I haven't seen anything too concrete. But a Qualcomm device would be interesting because of the fact that they've been, in that handheld space, and some of their higher Snapdragon processors may be able to handle some of the higher games. So we'll see. Yeah, thanks for that on the 3D print. I honestly can't believe nobody else did it. I couldn't believe it, but hey, I guess you gotta take it into your own hands. The Windows on the Neo sleeps fine. I've noticed if I don't use it for I don't know, a day or so, when I get back in, it's fine as far as battery life. It seems to do really well in sleep mode, and I haven't seen anything that's made me think anything differently. It's usually holds its charge really well, even while gaming. If you the Windows game's crashing. I haven't had that happen, but doesn't mean it doesn't. I just haven't had it happen for what I'm doing. And I will tell you, on the Neo, a lot of the gaming I've done has been in emulation gaming. It is the greatest, and this one should be too, the greatest PS2 handheld there is. And I know a lot of people, it's not something that a lot of people are talking about, but emulation on this device is going to be great because RetroArch is in the Steam store. So you're going to get GameCube, PS2, Dreamcast, anything to play on that. And it's going to play great. Anything from PS2 down should play fine. The Neo, I've played Xbox 360 and even PS3 on it, usually without a problem. So I'm really looking forward to the Steam Deck and using RetroArch and just loading it up, because it's better than, like for example, I think I showed in the video, the RG351V is a great little handheld. I mean, these are relatively cheap compared to what we're talking about with the Steam Deck, but there definitely gets to a point where it can, they say it can play PS1 games. It can. And I've said previously on Instagram, I've said that it really doesn't, and it doesn't very well. If you want to play PS1 or PSP games, really the PS Vita is the only way to go. I mean, it's the only one that's going to give you the best. That is until this device, the Neo, the 1X player. Nothing's better than playing PSP games on an Neo. You can do it 4 times resolution, plays great. So Willie So Basic, earlier I was talking about it on Steam Deck's weight. The Neo, which is almost the exact same weight as the Steam Deck, and I don't feel that this is too heavy. Now, when you put it next to, next to the Switch, I mean, you can tell it is considerably more. Like holding it one-handed like this on the Neo, it's a lot of grip right there. It gets pretty heavy versus holding a Switch. And I mean, a Switch feels like a toy in your hands compared to these devices. So, but it's heavy, but it doesn't feel overly heavy. Like it's, I don't feel like I'm upset that I'm holding it for that long, but yeah. Fan noise on the Neo isn't bad. Fan noise on the 1X player is definitely louder, but I don't know if I can get this, but I'll try and hold this up to the microphone. When you first turn it on, the Neo, you get a huge blast of the fan. I don't see if... and that's about as bad as it gets. It's really not that bad. And I haven't had it where the fan's running nonstop during gameplay, so it hasn't been anything that's been kind of hard to listen to. The Neo and the 1X player both have vibration motors, which makes it even better. I give you an idea of use case that I think it's great for is emulating Game Boy with the rumble carts. It is perfection at that. So that's something, if you like those rumble carts like Pokemon Pinball, or one of my favorites is the Missile Command rumble cart for the Game Boy Color. It's so great to play it on that. But fans aren't that bad. It's not that loud. So I wouldn't, if it's something you worry about, I wouldn't be too worried about that. Let's see who. Yeah, third day, I'm telling you, it's going to be an emulation beast because I already know what the Neo and the 1X can do. Um, Thinking about, there's people out there right now that are selling PS2 handhelds that are, you know, homemade, and hey, it's they look great, but they're almost the same price as an Aya Neo. They're more than some of the versions of the Steam Deck, so it's kind of exciting to have it like that. Um, Talk about emulation. If you try using RetroArch through Steam on a Linux OS compared to the Steam OS. So I haven't tried it on the Linux OS, and I'm not sure. And this is something, you know, we got to see with the software, but the Steam OS is allegedly going to run anything like it's a Windows. So it's hard to know, like if you have a Windows based program, this new OS is going to use can't think of the word I'm looking for, and I can't remember the name of it, but it's going to make it convert it over, similar to how Apple with their new chip makes everything run like it's on an Intel. So it's emulating it, and apparently there is Digital Foundry was talking about that it's going to take a small hit in performance, but they're not sure how much. Those guys have really dug in pretty deep with the software side of it. So I look for them to get deeper into it. And really, a lot of this would be kind of out of the question if we already had that Steam OS 3 to, you know, look into. I don't, you know, Daniel, you're asking about the Neo and GPD are both China-based. And there's nobody in the U.S. that is doing it. I will say that the customer support for the Aya Neo, those guys are Proton. Thank you, Daniel. I even did it in a video where I said Proton was the greatest thing. The Aya Neo actually has a Discord, and if you want to see some great customer service, I mean, I will tell you, above and beyond the Aya Neo, they are customer service wise on point. If you go to the Discord, the CEO is actually on there talking, and they made the announcement that I don't know if you were on earlier, but some of the things, like it shipped with a non-analog trigger, and were working on, I think they were working on an analog trigger but couldn't have it ready for ship time, and they are going to ship out basically an upgrade to the system free of charge to anybody who bought it early. So Aya Neo, they're probably going to be, if you want some good customer service, they're pretty spot on. They've responded to every question I've had for them. And like I said, if you go on the Discord for them, CEO's in there, and there's all sorts of people that are helpful answering questions. So, you know, I sound like an Aya Neo shill right now, but honestly, it is. I've been very, very pleased with them. Yes, translation layer. That's the word I was using for it. It's hard to sit here and talk nonstop and try and remember everything too. But anyways, one device besides the Steam Deck, which one would it be? I think you're going to know from how I've been talking. It's going to be the Aya Neo. I like the 1X player, but the Aya Neo, even though it does have some faults, to me is better than the 1X player. And I think a lot of it, and what gives them a definite niche in the market, is they are the only ones that have the Ryzen processor. I mean, it's got a Ryzen 5 in it. Can't go wrong with that. Yeah, Martin. Yeah, it's translating Windows systems. I'm sorry, I was having a brain fart there on that. Of the GPD on the front, but the Aya Neo looks good. Hopefully, yeah. The GPD Win 3. I feel like they came out, maybe they came out too early, because you can see like the Steam Deck, the Aya Neo, and the One X player all are very similar. The GPD is really small, and I love GPD. I think the GPD XD was probably, when it came out, and even now, is still one of the greatest emulation handhelds. But I just feel like maybe they didn't know what was going to happen. I mean, this really has just come out of nowhere with all these devices, and they're all very similar. So, yeah, there's the CEO of Ioneo sent out an email talking about the Steam Deck, and he felt that the Steam Deck was really good even for the Ioneo. So he welcomed the competition, and I don't know if that's just somebody talking to be positive, but I don't see how it isn't a positive, because not everybody's going to buy the same device. I mean, just because you like the Steam Deck, you may like something else better. I mean, something is going to offer more for you than another one. There's tons of people that aren't going to want to be locked into the Steam Deck. And yeah, you can change up the software, but maybe they don't even want to mess with that. Maybe they want a bigger screen. If you want a bigger screen, there's the One X player. So I think it's good. I think it's like I had posted about, wrote a little bit about it. This is like some golden age for handhelds right now. I mean, these devices, and then you've got, which I know a lot of people probably aren't interested in, that are interested in this, but the Panic coming out with the Playdate. That machine is very unique. Obviously, it's not even the same type of device, but it's good to see, the difference. Somebody coming out with something that's going to be, unique, and it's in a handheld, and I won't complain about that. So the Aya Neo, hey, KYFA, how's it going? Martin, with older games, Proton is amazing. Hey, Martin, I don't know if you saw, there was an article, which I think a lot of people have been ticked off about, talking about where they said something about 30 frames per second. And that, I think it was a developer, had said most games will meet or exceed 30 frames per second. And I don't know that, for 30 frames a second, this is, if you have a lot of games only running 30 frames a second, it's probably not going to be that great. And it might be a problem, but who knows? That could be just a one-off of somebody saying something. But once again, that's going to be something we're going to have to see. Yeah, so the price, Aya Neo on the price, they're talking about because I think that they can make a cheaper version of the Aya Neo. The one they're selling right now has a 1 terabyte drive. So I think if they did, and they did during the Indiegogo release, they did a version that was $699. And I think at $699, they can do one with a 512 gig SSD. They're going to be right in the wheelhouse with this. And then also, if you want to put the Steam OS on it, you can, and then effectively you've got the same thing. So, who knows? Yeah, Daniel, the other companies already in the market, I really want to see what other people are going to do, and how many companies actually make a device that's going to be a Steam Deck. Like I said, Alienware for sure. I can almost guarantee they've got something in the works because of their previous relationship with Valve and the Steam machines. I really don't. This is for Siphon. I'm reading it. I'm not saying anything. But he said, would you be down to sell a 3D print of the deck? It's not my 3D print. I didn't make it, so I don't know how that guy that made it would feel about it. Definitely not a profit thing. But I know my brother-in-law is down to print stuff. But I don't know where that gets into kind of like a gray area, because you're selling something that somebody else made and sell it for the price of a Steam Deck. So I don't know where that gets into with it's kind of a gray area. I definitely think there's ways you can. I think there's even UPS stores that you can bring in a 3D print file and they will print something for you. So if you check with some of those stores or print shops or anything, I think there's quite a few of them that will do that kind of thing. Let's see. I think I missed somebody up here. Still find it funny. Yeah. So Alex, the Atari Lynx was definitely, that was the big attack. Hold on. Let me get my links down. The Lynx was definitely attacked for its size, for sure. Let me move this out of the way for a second, but like, these two devices came out at the same time, exactly as they are. And it's comical now to look back at it, but this one had color screen. This one had a monochrome non-backlit screen, and this is what won. And this failed. And honestly, it's not, going back to it now, it actually feels pretty good in the hands. So it's kind of funny. And then now you've got it, up against that, and it's almost the same size. It's pretty funny. But that's another thing that's, everybody's wants to see Nintendo get thumped by this device. And while it's great to think that, I don't see it. Nintendo has never had the best of any product as far as, their systems have never been top of the line. They're always one step below or not, but they always sell. Look at the Wii. The Wii came out at the same time as the PS3 and the Xbox 360, or the Xbox One, sorry, and it thumped them. And it was a 480p device. It's just, there's always going to be a market for their devices. I think people that have this aren't going to be interested in a Switch. I don't know. I've got both, but there will probably be people that have both, because you're never going to have Mario titles. I realize you can emulate them, but you're never going to have them on anything but a Nintendo device. Their first-party games are how they make their money, and that's how they sell their systems. If it wasn't for their first-party games, they would have been gone. But their first-party games that's what sells it. But, all right, I'm going back. So, gaming console, do you think you think people prefer handhelds over console in the coming time? I mean, you look at the, like the iPads and tablets and everything, and the way that market's blown up. And I think there's definitely something about the way Nintendo came up with the Switch, where you can use it as a handheld and a console at the same time. I mean, that's probably where it's at. I would be interested to see at some point if someone makes a handheld that when you have it docked, it has a graphics processor inside of the dock to give you higher quality graphics when you're playing on a TV. I think that's probably the best case scenario, where you can buy it as just a handheld, but if you wanted the dock that gives you more power, you'll have that. It'd be interesting to see if the Steam Deck will. It doesn't have Thunderbolt, so it's not gonna hook up to an external GPU. But that's, to me, if I could have a perfect scenario, that would probably be it. But that gets into a whole other thing of people having designed games to be able to run on both that or handheld or on a higher resolution device. Okay. Yeah, Martin, I think we're definitely heading in. This is the start of something. It's definitely on the uptick, and I feel like these handhelds, they're going to get refined. This is our first run. They're going to get more and more refined. I think somebody commented on my other video that they said, oh, I love that device, but it's too big. I'm going to wait till they make a smaller one. And my comment to them was, if anything, they're going to make a bigger one. I guarantee we're not too far away from one of these companies making something with a 10-inch screen. It's going to happen. It's just a matter of time. So, Lynx 2 was smaller, Alex, but it was not as much smaller as you think. See if I can get it here without killing myself. All right, so now that we're talking Lynxes, I'll do these sideways so you can see. So yeah, Lynx 2 was it was definitely still a big, and it was chunky. Look how wide that thing is. I mean, that's a chunky device. Same size screen, obviously, huge device, small screen, but yeah. Yeah, Dark Bionic, yeah, Nintendo is a brand name plus party games. I mean, they have their market. Nobody that has like a 10-year-old kid is going to buy it. I take that back. Somebody's going to do it, but in general, that device is for more adult gamers or people who are, teenagers, stuff like that. Any of your younger generation, very few will have that device. Let's see. Yeah, all those people do have an ID on the device. I really wish they would. Yeah, Creeper XL51. Yeah, definitely. Portability is really becoming a big deal gaming-wise. The fact that, and I'll throw it out at Nintendo, the fact that you can take that with you, the system that you have at home, you can take it anywhere. And I actually got on Amazon, they sold, somebody made a plastic piece that you could take the guts out of the dock and put it inside of that, and you end up with a dock this big, and tons of people are making replacement docks now. But the fact that you can take that with you, I mean, that's huge. It's kind of the way it has to be. I remember, I'm not going to date myself, but I remember, doing LAN parties and having to haul around a CRT and a huge tower. And now, of course, now you'd play it online. You wouldn't go somewhere with anybody, but it's definitely nice to have, and it's definitely, I think, the way it's going to go. But there's which is why there's still demand for the higher processing power, which is why I think for sure you're going to have, hopefully at some point, a handheld that when docked is connected to an external GPU. Maybe I should start working on that. Let's see. Handheld Half-Life 2 and Portal is what's selling me on the Steam. Okay, so I've owned Half-Life 2, the orange box, Portal, and all that for quite a while. And when I loaded up Steam on my Neo, it was one of the first things I played was Portal. I was like, oh, I haven't played this in forever, and got it back into it. And it's so great playing it on a handheld. I've played it before, like using a controller and having it go over Steam Link, but it's just playing it on the handheld. It was great, and you should be sold on that. Benjamin. Benjamin, also my son's name. Very nice. Dark Bionic, you're saying it has to be big. It looks more robust. Which one were you talking about on that? Heat. Martin's talking about biggest issue is heat and power usage. If there was a device that would run at like 15 watts in handheld mode and use the dock for cooling and run at 35 watts, it could be much faster with the same hardware. Yeah. So on that, the 1X player, they have I don't know how good that's going to come out, but they've added on here a turbo button, and you can change the wattage with this turbo button. I think I didn't even have that in there, huh? Let's try that. Here we go. There it is. There's the turbo button, and that turbo button is nice. It lights up when you hit it. I haven't felt like there's that much of a difference. I feel like it makes me feel like I'm turning up the wattage, but I don't know that I see it. So I think that's something that a lot of times when you're playing a game and you're saying, oh, it gets, with this many frames per second with this many watts and this many with this many watts, that I like to look more on how I feel when I'm playing it than look at that frame counter, because I think there's a lot of ways that kind of makes your brain think differently, versus if you can't see that, you won't know that it's getting the frames the way it is. So it's kind of I think it's also a little bit mental, that when you see that, you think, hey, this thing's not running right because it's showing 58 frames a second instead of 60. But if you were playing it without seeing that, you wouldn't think anything. And then there's other times when I've played emulation where you're at 60 frames per second and it's skipping all over the place. So a little bit of a mental game, I think, sometimes with that. Alex, yes, the Lynx 2 was definitely thick. Yeah, Steam and their cheap game prices is where it's at, Siphon. The problem with Nintendo and cartridges is, everybody's got to pay a little bit to them, and they have to pay to have all the product made. And of course, if you buy it digitally, there's no discount for that. So, it's nice on Steam to have that. And plus, there's a little bit more competition on Steam versus with Nintendo. So, Martin, you're talking about you not be surprised if Valve came out with a VR headset with the deck hardware. So I think, and I haven't done it yet, but it's something I want to test, is hooking up a Oculus 2, which I have, Quest 2, with either the Aya or the I don't know that the 1X player could do it, but I think the Aya could. So we'll see. I wonder, does it come with a battery cutoff when fully charged? It should. I can't see in this day and age that it wouldn't. And I think all that is on board. Like, you can hook up with any device. I have, say for my MacBook, I've got a MacBook charger that I can hook up to my iPad, and it knows not to take that full 100 watts. So it should. Yeah, see, Alex, this is another thing you're saying, that the good thing about the Switch is the cartridges hold their value. Don't download the games. This is something that I think in the battle between the Switch and the Steam Deck, everyone talks about that. But, if you're not buying cartridges, you're not trading anything in. Once you buy that game, yeah, you have it forever, but its value is gone, And the, if you go online, people love collecting cartridges. It is a thing. Everybody wants to have their house look like a GameStop. Those types of posts on Instagram get tons of likes because it's a collector thing, and that's something you're not going to get with a device that is only playing digital games. And so I think that's one of the things between the two why you you can compare them in the fact they're both handhelds, but they start really diverging after that. And that's one of the reasons. Nintendo might be playing. Yeah, Game and Gamble. I don't know that they would, because of, like, they don't make high-end hardware. They never have. I think I'd probably say the GameCube is about their most high-end of the hardware that they had, and it doesn't play out well for them. I think they're better off making something unique to them than making something that's, high-end hardware. I mean, the Switch, it was a one of a kind. It was the first when it came out. The Wii had a control that no one else had before. That's the type of innovation they are. I was trying to think of something else. The DS, I mean, the dual screen. No one else had that before. That's their innovation, and their gimmick is uniqueness, not high end. Because everybody can make something high end versus you make something unique, It's where it's at. All right, let's see. Valve will have a monopoly on the haptic touchpads and its custom input. Is that Fenzi? I haven't seen. Is that something that they've said? I don't know if it's something that's been on some other device, and I'm sure there's some person out there that went out and said that they had plans for a device like that, and patent trolls. But I don't know that that's something, because that's, any touchpad on a mouse, things like that. I would think that would be something that's not patented yet, but Hipster Taco, I didn't see that, but I was like, well, let's change up what it is. But there it is next to the Switch. So TV movies, Alex, are actually 24 frames a second, or movies are 24 frames a second. Yeah, 30 frames per second. Talking about the end of Age of Ultron and the CGI statue, 30 frames per second can look good. And actually, a lot of, with the Nintendo 64, a lot of those games ran at 30 frames a second. You wouldn't know. And they can look really good. Flight Simulator. I'm a huge Flight Simulator player, not handheld. But there's times I'm running, in the 20 frames a second category, but it doesn't affect the gameplay. That game is brutal for GPUs anyways. I've got a 3070, and it's if I get 45 frames a second sometimes in some areas, I'm like, man, this thing is trucking. But we'll see how it does on the Xbox. That comes out Tuesday. I'm looking forward to that. So Hipster Taco, that's just a great name. But thanks for finding my channel. I don't know if anybody followed me on Instagram, but I've been on there for a few years, and it was time to move on. But give me more force to pull the heat out. So Martin, yeah, the docking and GPU handheld idea. I think you'd have to have the one thing on that is you definitely have to have in docked, you'd have to have a device with Thunderbolt on it. So we'll see if that's something. It seems like people don't want to spend the money on these extra parts, Yeah, if anybody wants to see any other devices next to it, feel free. I may have quite a few handhelds I can put next to it. So if you want to challenge and see which ones I have access to, I'll be happy to put anything next to it for a size comparison. Here we go. How about this? Let's do here's a Xbox One X and a PS5. I don't have a PS5 because, apparently only Bots can buy PS5s, but I have a PS5 controller because I use it on my iPad to play Apple Arcade. But if there's anybody that loves Final Fantasy, you really need to get Apple Arcade if you have an Apple device and play Fantasia, or Fantasian, but that's a whole nother video. But anyways. Oh, Alex, yeah, in the UK, yeah, you guys are slightly off on the frame rate. I can't stand when I get the game, emulated game, and it's running in PAL. It drives me crazy. Let's see. Yeah, Creeper, they do look tiny, and everything is tiny next to it. Did I ever consider the Moki i7? I considered that so many times, but never pulled the trigger because it's just like the price was just, I mean, looking at it now, the price of that thing was almost it was more than the Steam Deck. It was almost as much as the lower end Neo. So it's, I thought about it, but I couldn't bring myself to do it. And also it was, it was from one of those Chinese companies that wasn't really well established, and I had heard a couple reviews that complained about some of the buttons on them, and there's the I can't think of the name of it, the Pocket 2. I'll think of the name of it anyways. There was one of them that I bought that everybody was raving about, and the D-pad on it was atrocious, so I ended up selling it. So I'm a little bit picky about buttons and D-pads, and if it's one that isn't right, it just drives me insane, especially if I'm playing 16-bit games. A bad D-pad will literally kill any device. And these two controllers, I hate that Sony has those split. Xbox with their ridiculously clicky D-pad drives me nuts as well, but it's not made for that. It's made for the games that they have on it, so I'll give them a pass on that. But the let me see, yeah, Moki i7, the price was insane, and I don't know that it's going to get cheaper because I don't know. I'm sure at some point it's going to go on fire sale, but it's. You like that siphon? Was that good enough for you? The price just I just don't see how, especially with these systems coming out, that you could even want to do it. Although for some of those handheld devices, the amount of games that are available on Android are really, Android is, if I have some of these handhelds, this is, the 351V, I really wish had Android on it, because there's so many options for games on Android, because you're not only going to get the Android games, but you're also going to get the emulators. So yeah, I know Gaming Gamble really puts it into perspective when you see that when you see the Vita next to it, because the Vita's, this is no small handheld, but it's it really puts it into perspective. Yeah, Siphon. The Vita, for me, if you want to play PS1, PSP, the Vita is the only way to go. Hands down. There's no better system for playing PSP and PS1 games. So, yeah, exactly, Alex. Yeah, it's PSP games are where it's at. And, I know there's been all this talk lately talking about, the PS Vita and how they closed down their store, and everybody's just, up in arms. Oh my God, we can't buy games on there anymore. We know there's other ways to get those games, but the OLED version, this still has the best screen, and I guess my battery's dead. has the best screen in gaming. That from all the handhelds are out there. KYFA, I don't have any PCs or laptops that I could put next to it. I'm using the one to broadcast this. Trying to think of what I had that would be a. There you go. Here's a funny one for you. To give you a comparison, actually, I could measure. I don't know where my measuring tape is. Louise. So I don't have a Wii U, and that is the one question that has been asked so many times is what does it look like next to the Wii U? Almost to the point where I think I need to go out and get a Wii U to kind of get the feel between the two. And I had a Wii U at one point, and I do remember thinking that device was a really great handheld, and I was thought, man, if this was a handheld, this would be the greatest thing ever. But unfortunately, I don't have one to show up next to it. I think it is taller than the Steam Deck, but it's definitely not wider than the Steam Deck. So let's see. Didn't get a Vita. Yeah, you should have, Alex. You should have gotten a Vita. I'm telling you. Yeah, and this, like Alex is saying, this is one of the best emulator devices. If you want to play Sony stuff, don't bother. And you'll see in every review, everybody ever does, someone will say, "Oh, if you want to play PSP games, get a Vita or get a PSP." Exactly true. These are probably the easiest systems to hack, the PS Vita and the PSP. They are absolutely, I mean, it's a joke how easy it is to do it. You don't have to be that technical to be able to do it. There's a guy on YouTube. He's got a little bit of an accent, but he is very down to the point and lets you know right away how to do it. No ridiculous video. No screaming and yelling like some people used to do, and just tells you step by step how to do it. And you follow it, it's easy as can be. Oh, let me get a 3DS XL. Put that next to it. All right, so that's a 3DS XL on it. I'm going to say your name wrong. Abhishek Dutta? How bad did I slaughter that? I wanted to know, aside from the ergonomics, my thoughts on the Steam Deck. And I am a Steam Deck reservation holder. I have a December date. I'm super excited for it. I'm kind of a bad person because I would consider myself an early adopter, and it's a handheld, and I'm really excited for it. I love the idea that the Steam Deck, the Ioneo, the One X Player, the GPD Win 3, that they're all just like growing this handheld market, and it's kind of taking it into a whole nother level. So I'm really excited for that. Yeah, third day. Do you have a Wii U game? I swear, I need to get one just for this. I got rid of my Wii U a long time ago, and that's probably the most disappointed I've ever been in any console I've ever bought. But I'll get it. And never an early adopter. Well, now's the time. So, Hector, you're talking about the weight. Can we talk about it? So, it seems like it'd be very limited in terms of quantities. I was going to get one for the hundreds of indies I have on Steam, but couldn't pre-order. You couldn't pre-order? Are you in a country that doesn't have it, or were you unable to order it because of that? I know a ton of people had issues where Steam was saying their account wasn't old enough. Whatever. But the weight, we were talking about it earlier. The Ion Neo. Too much junk over here. The Ion Neo is the closest thing in weight to this, and this weighs slightly more than the Steam Deck. And for me, this feels kind of heavy. I do have the grips on it, which this has grips built in, so it's kind of similar. Of course, no back buttons, but it's heavy, but it's not too heavy. But trust me, if you're used to holding up this Switch, you're gonna feel like this thing weighs a ton. Laying down, holding it up on your head is a bad idea. This thing is, don't play this in your bed and fall asleep, because you're going to end up at the hospital. But it's very heavy, but it doesn't feel, when you got it with a grip, and I think that's the key, because these didn't come with the grip. This was an add-on. And I don't know that I'd like playing the Ion Neo without the grips on it. So I was glad to see that this had the grip built in. But yeah, the weight, it is heavy. If it's, like I said, it's slightly less than the Ion Neo, but it is heavy. Yeah, Alex, seriously, this thing's a weapon. Let's see what else. Yeah, third day. That Wii U what a disappointment. But I think, honestly, though, it was almost like a Nintendo Switch V1, because the Nintendo Switch basically is the same thing, but they tweaked a couple things to make it so they only had to have one product line versus having a handheld and a console to release. And then, of course, now they've got the Lite, which, if you're in the market for a Switch Lite, those things are flooding the used market lately. I don't know what's going on. I think a lot of people were excited to get it and then got it and felt it was too small or whatever. But, the prices on those are going down in the used market. So, easy one to pick up. Plus, they just came out with a new color. So, you're in Puerto Rico. You couldn't pre-order. Really? I would think in Puerto Rico that you would have been able to pre-order that. That's interesting. I don't know when they are releasing it to any other countries, but we'll see. Yeah, Nintendo. Alex was talking about Nintendo, that they help boost interest back in handhelds. Nintendo has always been, they're a handheld company for sure. They've started out even before the Game Boy with the Game & Watch series, and those systems, let's see what I got here. Those systems really were the first handhelds that they made. So Zelda one, and it's kind of funny looking back at it. This dual, kind of like a DS, isn't it? So I don't know if anybody had any of these or has had anyone. And now they're bringing back the ones where they have the Mario one, and then we've got the other Zelda one coming out. But these handhelds are where Nintendo started with. Yeah, this is the most valuable piece on these, is the battery cover. Without these, it loses a lot of value. But you can 3D print them. But these systems are great. They were cheap to make, cheap to sell, and that's where they got their start on that for sure. So it's good to see them, back in that market. Let's see. Kai FA, since you already have 1X player, what are you really expecting in Steam Deck to have? I think in Steam Deck, I'm hoping, and the Ion Neo, the Steam Deck, the 1X player, these are all different processors. You have Intel with the 1X player. You've got the AMD Ryzen with the Ion Neo, and then you've got the other AMD and the Steam Deck. I'm looking for I think the Ioneo and the 1X player are more like a computer versus this one's more like a handheld. It is a PC, but it's more, it's closer to being a mobile device, somewhere between a PC and like a iPad or something. So I'm looking for that in that device. So that's, kind of what I'm looking for in it. And we'll see. Like the Ioneo and the 1X player, if you start playing higher end games, these are thirsty processors, and it may be the case with this one as well. I think I got about an hour and a half playing Microsoft Flight Simulator on the 1X player, and that's kind of short. But that is a very demanding game, both graphics and CPU. So I'm interested to see how this is closer to a mobile device, I guess is a good way to say it. Let's see. Yeah, Abhishek, they actually, you said, do you think the Steam Deck is trying to target Switch users or only PC users? And would a Switch user consider a Steam Deck as an alternative? So the Valve came out, I think it was, I just saw it about an hour ago. I think that it's maybe less than a day old. They came out and they said they are not targeting the same market. And I don't think they are. I think Nintendo's more first-party games, and Steam Deck is, kind of everything else. So I think they're targeting a different market, and I don't think they want to be a competitor to the Switch. I think they want to be an additional to the Switch. So that's kind of my thoughts. Whether I don't know that they want to go up against Nintendo. I don't think Nintendo wants to go up against them. I think they're both going to be happy in their own corners. But Hector's saying a lot of Puerto Ricans were pissed off. I don't blame them. And then Louise talking about Mario Maker. Apart from that, the gamepad was pretty badly used. I don't think anybody knew what to do with it. I think that's something that happened with the Wii too. I think when it first came out, everybody they couldn't think anything unique, so they were just doing like little things here and there. But who knows? It's nice to see people think better. This is why, like I said, the play date. I don't know if anybody's seen that. I'm super excited for that, and we'll see how that turns out. But that's got a crank on it. Obviously fishing games, but I saw that they also had a surfing game. So that's what's nice to see is unique controls and unique use of the controls. So Alex, yeah, the DS was totally based on these dual screen Game & Watch. And you can even see, it's the D-pad is, that's a Nintendo D-pad. It's smaller, but it's their same look. But there you go. There you go. Here's another Neo Geo X next to it. Let's see. Yes, third day I really broke out a Zelda Game & Watch. And of course, I do have the Zelda Game & Watch pre-ordered, which, based on the fact that there's still Mario Game & Watches at Target, Walmart, and everywhere else, I don't think it's going to be a problem. I think they're going to be available, but maybe not, because there have been, I can't even imagine counting how many different times Nintendo has released Mario Brothers on like Game Boy Color, Game Boy, they've gone to that well a lot. I think Mario Brothers, the one where you're running around hitting where Luigi and him are playing together, that Mario Brothers, not Super Mario Brothers, that one has been on like a secondary item on 100 different games. So I don't know if this Zelda one may sell pretty good because it's the first of its kind versus they have well dipped into that Mario Brothers thing. Um, let's see. So yeah, Hector, I think that's what happened with the Wii U is it didn't have enough differentiation for people to think it was different. Um, and they just were like, well, the Wii's working fine. It wasn't unique enough, and I don't think maybe people didn't understand that you had a handheld technically, but you couldn't leave your house with it, so kind of missed market for them. Switch is definitely siphoned. Switch is definitely targeted towards family and a lot of kids. So I don't see them being in the same market as that. Hector, the GP32. I had a GP32 a long time ago, and the problem was that it's a South Korean system, and there wasn't a lot of games that I felt I was playing, and so I kind of got rid of it. But that was a long time ago. I would want one now, but now the prices on them, they're through the roof, and I'm never going to play it, if I'm honest. So I didn't go ahead and get one, but I had it, and they were using actually MMC. Actually, I have one right here. They were using MMC cards, not SD cards, which are, they're like here's a MMC card. They're thinner than an SD card. Let's see if I get a comparison card here. I don't know if that's going to show or not, but they are thinner than the MMC cards, just ever so slightly. It's not going to. There we go. And so that's what they were using. They were using the MMC. I actually have this for the Nokia N-Gage because it also used the MMC cards. Here's my most worthless in terms of being able to play it system that I have, the Gizmondo. This thing, it is definitely an interesting device, but man, I don't do anything with it. Takes up space, sits on a shelf, looks nice, I guess. Yeah, third day, yeah. If you look at all those reveal trailers, they have all adults playing it. So you got to sell to the adults to buy to the kids. The Game Boy, when it first came out, they claimed that the reason they sold so many of them was because of Tetris on it. And they were aiming towards the adults. So, that's definitely, that's a marketing strategy for sure. Do I have any of the GPD Win handhelds? No, I don't. I had the original GPD Win, and I never used it, and the battery life and ergonomics, and it just was something I didn't use. I didn't like the keyboard. It was their first go, and then they definitely made better ones. I just didn't see it as something I wanted at the time. And I really came close to getting the Win 3, and I didn't because I knew these other devices kind of were being hinted at, so I kind of wanted to wait. Yeah, Alex, the Tapwave Zodiac, that's one that I don't have that I wish I did. That thing, that was a great system. Let's see, Nintendo's known for making IPs to death. Yeah, Abhishek, they have milked Mario Brothers to death, that's for sure. What's my favorite handheld? So my favorite handheld is not necessarily because it's the best handheld, but is because it means something to me, and that's the Game Gear. Game Gear I had, that was actually the first handheld that I ever owned, not counting a Game & Watch. but the Game Gear is the first one I ever had, and I absolutely love the Game Gear. Here, we'll get a Game Gear here to look at. So this is the one that to me I have the most nostalgia for. It's definitely not the best handheld I own. It's not the one I play the most, but it's the one I have the most memories of. Not this one. This one actually is a Japanese only Game Gear. This isn't reshelled. This is a black smoke Game Gear. It's like almost impossible to find. When you do, they are ridiculously expensive. They actually made with the little mini systems that they came out with, they made a smoke one, which you could only get the smoke one when you got the kit that had all of them. So there's a, let's see, I have to open it up here because I keep it kind of hidden. But yeah, this is the 60th anniversary. It came with, let's see, I might get too much reflection on here. The 60th anniversary one that came with all the different, these four are the ones that they sold, and then the smoke one only came in this kit with the frame. It's a dummy unit. It doesn't have any electronics in it. I thought about buying one of the regular ones and putting it in there, because if you turn these on with it in the frame, it looks out of this world. But yeah, I would have to say Game Gear is my favorite, and like I said, that's my first handheld, so it's kind of the one that I'm most attached to by far. So I'm getting behind here on the. You show the Atari Lynx again, absolutely. Let me move my Game Gear display out of the way. Here's I got the Lynx and the Lynx 2. There you go. Make sure I'm centered here. There you go. Lynx and Lynx 2 next to it. And it's kind of hard to see which one is more. This is the Lynx 2 is probably that much taller than the Steam Deck. Yeah, Siphon, the Pokemon's the wealthiest IP out there, and it's also just like on Instagram, if Pokemon is what you have to post. If you post something with Pokemon in it, it doesn't matter what it is, it gets likes. It's kind of there, and they milk that one for sure too. But I almost equate Pokemon to like Madden. It's the same game over and over again. It's just slight variations. And then they go back and remaster the older versions. But anyways, the 1 hour battery. So the Master System, so Hector it says he had the Master System converter. There are actually making a new one. Retro 6 is making a Master Gear converter that you can buy brand new. So that's kind of exciting that you can get that now. So you can play Master System games on the Game Gear, which the Game Gear is basically a portable Master System if you didn't know. And the me, I don't think I'd get it, because if you get the EverDrive for the Game Gear, you can play Master System games, ROMs right off of it. So for me, I didn't need it because I don't have any Master System cartridges. I never owned a Master System. I owned a Genesis. That was my first console. And so I guess I'm kind of a Sega fanboy, but you know, what can you do? Um, so my display capture is mirrored. Maybe. I don't know. Oh yeah, I think it is. Oh, yeah, I got it mirrored. I'll tell you why. Because I have the camera in front of me, and I flipped it so that when I put things down and they're facing me, that they look like they're facing you on the screen. Like if I've got something like this, I'm looking at it and putting my hands on it, and it's not upside down on the screen. So I'm working on getting a better camera system for showing things. I'm kind of bad with that, but that's why that looks like that, and that's why this is all reversed. It's because I had to do it so that things face the right way, so you guys could see it facing the right way. I don't want to be holding something and it's upside down on the screen, so that's what happened there. Remember when the Game Boy came out? The Game Boy Color was definitely, once again, this is another, years after these already had backlit screens, they come out with the Game Boy Color, still isn't backlit. Game Boy Advance, still not backlit. Nintendo is not going to make a high-end device. It's not going to happen. Do you think Steam have a big plan with this device in the future? I mean, like developing new V2 or Pro or something. I think it's going to be dependent on how many of which version they sell. If they start selling a ton of the higher end versions, then I could see it. If all they're selling are the lower end versions, then maybe not. Maybe the V2 will just refine it, maybe find a way to make something a little bit cheaper, kind of like how Sony does with their consoles. Everything gets a little bit cheaper each time, but who knows? But it also depends on, what everybody else makes manufacturer-wise. I mean, somebody may come out with something that gets it right, and Valve doesn't sell as many as another manufacturer. And I think, honestly, they would probably prefer that with a known manufacturer making these than them having to make them. So this may be more of a proof of concept for them, for other manufacturers, than them selling a lot of them. Let's see. Yeah, so Sonic, Alex is saying UK had Master System games like Sonic 2 and Streets of Rage 2 that US never got. I am going to tell you one of my favorite UK game that the US never got is Parodius. It was Japanese too, but that's the English version. And it's one of the greatest games ever. It's a parody of... I got Galaga in my head. It's a parody of... why can't I think of the name of it? Anyways, Scooter starts with a G on Nintendo, but it's a great game. If you've never played Parodius, definitely check it out. Let's see. Top 3 games I want to play on the Steam Deck. So I definitely want to play RetroArch and get everything loaded onto it. I know that seems ridiculous because then I'm just playing older systems that I clearly already have, but it's so nice to play them on this device. So that's kind of probably going to be one of my first. I would say also No Man's Sky. I've played No Man's Sky on the Aya Neo, and it plays pretty decent. I've played on the One X player, and it also plays pretty decent. And that's a game that I really would love to play handheld. And then third, I probably am going to go back with Half-Life 2 again, because I just love playing that game. I've played it through so many times. What I really want to play are a lot of the Blizzard games. Like, I'm a huge Diablo fan. I can't wait for that new remastered version of Diablo 2. So these are the type of things I'm going to be interested in playing on it. Alex, it's insane to think the Switch cost the same as the 64 gigabyte Steam Deck when it came out. I know. It is kind of crazy, but I think they may be losing money on this. I know Nintendo, they don't like to announce it, but they make their systems so they don't lose a lot of money. And that's why they have never gone out of business, too. Yeah, Hector in Brazil, the Master System. I think they were making the Master System years after it was discontinued everywhere else in Brazil. The location of the deck's B button. Okay, so that was something. Yeah, James, the everyone's out, and my button has fallen off from my 3D print, and apparently I've lost my D-pad too, but you can get an idea of where it is. My only concern, so if you're playing like this, it's not bad, right? But if you are using this top shoulder button, you can see how cramped you're going to get. Like you're in the same place, and that doesn't feel good at all, like at all. And it's the same thing with this D-pad. If you're on the going left and you're going like that, doesn't feel great. If you were playing something that was just D-pad and buttons, like some retro games, as long as you're like not playing a GBA but something less than that, it's going to feel fine. But the minute you get your hands right here, it doesn't feel great. So that was my concern holding this, is those locations. But I think if you look at the top games sold on Steam, they're all first-person shooters. So people aren't going to be playing games, mainly not playing games where you're using that. But, for somebody that does, I would rather be playing something like the Neo, because you're not, you've got that gap. It's close, but it's not as far on the edge as the other one is. StarCraft 2. Yeah, third day. StarCraft 2, what a great game. Blizzard has made some games that they've just, they knocked out of the park so much that they can just keep running off games that are old, basically. Diablo 3, I've played it on PC, PS4, PS3, Switch. It's just, it never gets old. 6'6" and have huge hands. Yeah, if you've got huge hands, like I did a measurement for everyone asked. So from here to here is 7¼ inches. So if you see that, from that wrinkle right there to the tip of mine when it's stretched out is 7¼ inches. So if you want to compare that, but yeah, Martin, you might, if you have huge hands, it's going to be interesting. Actually, you might be better with huge hands because you may have a better reach for you may not have to be so tight in. I don't know. We'll see. Yeah, button map your way out. Exactly. That's what these back buttons, you're going to button map your way out. Game Boy Micro. Speaking of, here you go, Alex. There's your Game Boy Micro. All right, so let's see. India played knockoff NES till 20. Somebody just posted on, I think I saw it on eBay. It may have been on Mercari. Somebody posted the knockoff or the NES that's for India. I don't know what the name of that one was, but it's an Indian market NES, and they wanted a ton of money for it. I don't know if you have people that still have those laying around, but apparently you can get good money for it. Yeah, Fenzi, Diablo 2 remaster, all day. Can't wait for it to come out. Let's see, a question about Steam to be able to cut. Yeah, Ricky, Call of Duty. There's no way Rainbow Six Siege isn't going to be playable on this. That is one of their top 5 game sales on the device. I mean, on the Steam market. So I guarantee if there's going to be one that's going to be definitely well tweaked, it's going to be that one for sure. Yeah, Siphon. This, the micro. It's fun, whatever, but it is this, especially in this day and age. This screen is too small. The device is too small. It's fun to play. People get excited when they see it because it was a total flop. But now they're, some of the highest money that you can get for them. Yeah, Martin, exactly. Some of those shooters, they are best at mouse and keyboard. You're not going to want to play them. And I think even IGN talked about it, that in their interview, that really for some of these games, if you're competitive with them, mouse and keyboard is going to be the way to go for sure. Lady Decade. I actually haven't seen that, but yeah, the Indian NES. I'd never seen it before. Abhishek, you need to let us know. Are you in India right now, or are you here in the U.S. or UK? Or let me get one more here. All right, so I don't think I can reach it, actually. I was going to try and, well, I can't reach it. It's in my, a little too high up. I've got a Sega Nomad I was going to put next to it, but sorry, I can't reach it. Save that for another time. I didn't know there was a Brazilian NES. Interesting. But, yeah. So, all right. Hey, I'm going to thank all you guys for joining me. I'm looking forward. Like I said, I'm working on another video right now. Sunday, my son just got up from his nap, so I can hear him. I don't know if anybody else heard him. You can hear him screaming and yelling and running around in the background. But thanks for everybody joining. Thanks for everybody who subscribed and watched my video. I thank you guys so much. And I look forward to talking to you again. I'm going to try and do, like I said, I'll do my next videos coming up. There's going to be some stuff dealing with the playing games on the Neo and the One X player, since those are, kind of the same thing. And then definitely looking forward to talking to you guys more. Definitely drop a comment on anything of games you want to see played, and I will definitely get around to it. If you don't follow me on Instagram, I'm probably not on there as much as I used to anymore now that I've kind of transitioned over, but check that out too. Good talking, everybody. Look forward to talking to you again soon.